Let's bring in Greg Steube. He's a member of House Judiciary. Where do you stand on the calling of witnesses like John Bolton, Mick Mulvaney, and the Bidens? You know, it also, let me back up. Critics are saying it's an admission in the push to call witnesses that the Democrats did not make their case, that their articles are inherently deficient if the Senate has to investigate for more evidence.
Well, and I would agree with that 100%. They could have called all of these witnesses. They didn't want to call them because they knew that they would be taken to court and that would take time. And they wanted to get this impeachment done as quick as possible. So they had the opportunity to call these witnesses. Why didn't they call them then? And now, once these articles of impeachment are now at the Senate, why are they going to go back and rehatch witnesses? So it's up to the Senate as to whether they want to call them or not. You know who I would like to hear from? I'd like to hear from Adam Schiff. In my opinion, he's a fact witness. I'd also like to hear from the whistleblower.
Why
so
is
if they start calling witnesses,
why is he a fact witness?
Because we know that the whistleblower had conversations with him and his staff. So I would love to hear the conversations and at what point he talked or his staff talked to the whistleblower and if they coordinated his filing of that complaint.
Didn't the White House shut down the calling of Mick Mulvaney and other witnesses?
Yeah, so they exerted executive privilege just like every other president in the history of our nation has done and can do. Okay. And at that point, the Democrats could then take them to court and let the U.S. Supreme Court decide whether they actually should be ordered or not. And the Democrats didn't want to do that.
I want to move on to this. The Democrat claims of impeachment bombshells continue to fall apart on closer look. The Ukraine foreign minister told CNN, quote, "Frankly, I don't trust any word that Lev Parnas is now saying." And now CNN's Jake Tapper is calling out the Democrats for believing Lev Parnas' story. Watch.
Neil, let me start with you, because we can't ignore Parnas has a serious credibility problem. He's under indictment for campaign finance charges. The foreign minister of Ukraine told CNN's Christiana Mapur that he doesn't trust a word Parnas is saying. And yet I see people out there in social media, Democrats, acting as if this guy is the second coming of Theodore Roosevelt or something.
And as we reported last night, federal prosecutors in New York have already charged Lev Parnas with making false statements and lying. And the Ukraine foreign minister, again, says he saw no quid pro quo. Your take on what's going on with this Lev Parnas story?
Well, it's amazing that even CNN is admitting that he has no veracity and he's being indicted for fraudulent claims and lying. So how can he be a credible witness if he's indicted for not being credible and for lying and for committing fraud? So it takes me back to Michael Cohen in the beginning of this Congress last year, where you're going to bring in a guy who's been indicted and convicted of lying to Congress to testify to Congress, and during that time lied 4 or 5 times during his testimony. So I don't think any of that can be credible.
You know, Parnas' only real evidence is mainly his handwritten notes. It would take months to prove their veracity. Watch this stretch of a case that the former FBI Director Andrew McCabe makes in trying to get Parnas in as a witness. Watch this.
You could then match that note up to the booking record of proving that he was, in fact, in the hotel at that time. You could also compare it to his phone records from the days he was there and show how many times he talked to Rudy Giuliani during that stay. So there's different ways that you could begin to bolster that testimony, and it makes that record speak more clearly.
Well, it takes an awful lot of work to do that. Go ahead.
Well, not only that, but let's go ahead and bring in witnesses that would testify that he's a liar and that his testimony is not credible and all the other things that he did in the Ukraine. And one of the reports I read, he was being paid off by the Russians. Apparently, he had taken like $1 million from the Russians. So why in the world would he be a credible witness? And the fact that the Democrats are now going to rely upon him. You know, we've gone from Russia collusion to obstruction of justice to the whistleblower, and now we're going to bring this other guy in after they already sent the articles over. It's amazing.
Do you think the president ran through the red light with the phone call with the Ukraine leader talking about the Biden?
If you go, and that's a great point, go back to the evidence and the facts. Read the transcript. Every American, if you read the transcript, you will come to the conclusion that there was nothing in that transcript that was criminal, and there was nothing in that transcript that was impeachable conduct.
Congressman, good to see you. Come back soon.
Yeah, great to see you. Thank you.
The Democrat